Christmas is, traditionally, a time for important discussions such as whether or not All I Want for Christmas Is You is the best modern Christmas carol, or if Love, Actually is the greatest or worst film ever. It is a time for peace on earth and goodwill to all people. Everyone who lives in Australia's other 149 electorates should spare a thought for Blogsburgers who must also consider whether they want one-time tennis player, the Liberals' John Alexander, or one-time New South Wales Premier, Labor's Kristina Keeler, to represent them in the federal parliament. It is on nobody's Christmas wish list to have to consider the speed of the NBN, which side of politics has cut more from health and education, and whether one candidate is a better stretcher of the truth than the other. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull on Wednesday said disgraced New South Wales politician Eddie Obeid had been one of Ms Keeler's first picks for cabinet when she became Premier in 2009. Mr Obeid never reappeared in the cabinet after 2003. When Ms Keeler announced her candidacy, she blamed the coalition for the closure of the Eastwood Medicare office. Days later, and the Department of Human Services General Manager, Hank George, told Fairfax Media the decision had been made in 2013, when Labor was in office. And so it goes. It seems like there are more mistruths in this campaign than one can count. Each side has made claims about what happened to education funding during Ms Keeler's time as Premier. Federal Education Minister Simon Birmingham said Ms Keeler's Premier was happy to cut $318 million out of New South Wales schools. Ms Keeler said education funding increased in every key area under my government. The ABC ran these claims past several experts and found neither person could be said to be 100% honest. Is it any wonder people are disenchanted with politics? On Wednesday, the Labour campaign visited Ryde Hospital. There was a fundraising cake stall. You can imagine the Labour Party advance's joy at discovering there was a cake that could actually be cut to demonstrate its case cuts were being made to health funding. But the Liberals were ready with a mind-numbing press release that was supposed to show funding has increased. There are only two things that are certain about claims like these: that voters do not have the time, energy or resources to check politicians' statements, so their default position is an assumption much of what they are being told is, if not an outright lie, then at least involves some kind of obfuscation. Funding claims are notoriously difficult to check. There are all sorts of things that have to be kept in mind, such as what was going on with state government funding at the same time, what the funding was in previous years, and whether the state/federal agreement in a funding area had recently changed. It's like suggesting the quality of Christmas cake declined between 2009 to 2014. The statement might be true but neglects to mention the cake was made in 2009 by Grandma, who had perfected it over 60 years of baking, whereas in 2014, Uncle Mervyn, who had never previously cooked, took over. It's not a new thing to note the disenchantment among voters around the world.